Dr. Barry, licensed psychologist, and here I share legal news from a psychological perspective. Today's case is out of Florida, and the defendant in this case is Bree Conn. Trigger warning, we are going to, well, not trigger, but there's a bunch of topics we're going to talk about, but we are going to talk about the verdict. So if you haven't seen the verdict, if you haven't seen sentencing, please check that out because we will be covering that today. She was assessed by the same expert as Sarah Boone. So Dr. Julie Harper also assessed Bree Conn and came to the conclusion that yes, she did suffer from battered spouse syndrome and that she also had PTSD. But the judge said that Bree would have to testify in order for that testimony to come in. And Bree did not want to get on the stand. So she declined to testify, which is her right. It's completely her right. Yes. And the reason why I'm fumbling over my words a little is because there is body camera video of her saying that she should go to jail for the rest of her life. She took her children's father away, like she confessed. And so but now she was saying that it was self-defense. This is a really, really sad case. Bree was an officer in the Navy. She was a chief petty officer, and her husband at the time, Collin Turner, he's the victim in this case. He was a medically retired veteran from, I want to say, the Marines, and his family is going to give very powerful impact statements. Um, and I will leave a link to that full because I don't know that we're gonna have time to get to all of that today, but I did just want to cover this self-defense perspective because it is gonna come up in Sarah Boone's case as well. Whew, all right, so let's get to the call that happened earlier this same day. So, you're actually gonna see, the I wanna say it was Collin that called the police, but you're gonna see a little bit of their interactions going back and forth. Bree is gonna claim that he hurt her arm, like, she's gonna make some allegations. She's later gonna say, I wanna say it was in her interrogation, that if the police had arrested him, that he would still be alive. And this whole argument is because Colin wants to take the children from Florida to Georgia to be with, to be with his mom. There are some allegations. It didn't fully come out in court, I don't think, but there's some things came up that Bree might have had an issue with drinking too much, and she was struggling with significant mental health issues. She attempted to self delete and had went, I think she had 2 Brady, I think that's what it's called in Florida. She had 2 involuntary hospitalizations where a judge decided that, yes, she did need to be hospitalized, and, so all of this is going on right before this.
Hello. Nice to see you here. Yes, sir. Indeed. What can I do for you? I'm Deputy Glenn with Nurse County Sheriff's Office.
Hey, my wife won't let me in my house.
Okay, is this wife?
Domestic dispute. Yep. So,
Okay, can I talk to you over here?
Can I grab my daughter, please?
Hey, can I just have you wait right there for just one moment, okay? Not right now. Hold on. Just one second. We'll get this figured out, okay? All right, so what's going on today, sir?
So she's got mental health stuff going on. I was trying to leave for Georgia to get a break from her for me and the kids earlier today when she called you guys. And when I was talking to you guys, she took my photo ID, all my access to money and everything.
Okay.
And then took the kids inside and locked me out. So they're locked outside in my driveway.
Okay.
For the last couple hours.
Do you live here?
What's that?
Do you live here?
Yeah, we're co-owners for both.
Okay.
So Bree's defense is going to try to say that he was harmful not only to Bree, but also that he was harmful to the children as well. And you can tell this little girl is clinging to her father, just like you can tell this little girl loves her dad. And It's my understanding the police had been called multiple times. There is a different video. I'm not gonna play it because the kids are just running and playing, and the police being there, it almost seems kinda normal to the kids, and, I think I might get to the impact statements because they're really powerful, so I am. I am gonna play the impact statements because, Collin's children live with his parents now. They're now being raised by their grandparents, and they have this chronic fear that somebody's gonna get into an argument in the family and that somebody's going to harm somebody else. And it's just it's just so, 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 so painful to see.
Um, so I've been on the phone with family advocacy through the Navy and all that most of the day. So I haven't cared that I'm outside. Until she came outside with my daughter on the porch screaming. So I came over and she gave my daughter to me. She didn't make her stop screaming.
And what's the argument over? They put in the note something about kids going to Georgia.
Yeah, that was the most closest alligator to the boat. But she was mad that I turned off the Wi-Fi last night, so she washed my laptop in the dishwasher. And that's kind of like the last straw.
You guys, are you guys still married?
I mean, for now, yeah.
It's still legal and it's common property.
Yep.
What's yours is hers and hers is yours. And
So that's where I wonder if he was considering leaving her. I really, really wonder. And if she was worried, especially with her mental health concerns, I wonder if she was concerned about losing the kids. Because in her last, because she has one child from a previous marriage, we are gonna watch her ex-husband's testimony because I think it's relevant to her self-defense claim, because it's my understanding that Bree told Collin a bunch of horror stories about her ex, and oh, it's just a really, really tough situation.
fortunately,
Yeah, so she's not allowed to stop me from entering my house.
If it's your house and you still live here, by all means, you got to enter your home. However, you got to enter your home.
10-4.
Makes sense.
And this is where it's, I don't know, but it's, and I hope the officers know, like, this was a difficult situation, a really, really difficult situation. She's locked him out of the house, and they're gonna go and try to talk to her, and we'll see. Yes. And so that was one of the allegations that, um, even when she was with the kids, that she really wasn't present. He was the one that always played with the kids, and it really reminded me a lot of Sarah Boone's case. She also does that similar thing of smiling with her attorney, and it's, and so I get it, like a person doesn't have to be, sad that they're in court or, but it's just odd to see somebody sitting there smiling in court. Alright, let's go.
Yeah, so she's allowed to change the locks, and I'm allowed to break a window. Is that what you're saying?
I'm not telling you to break a window. If you want to tear, I mean, it's your property. However, you got to get into your house. You got to get into your house. If it's your home and you live here and you got your items in there, if you got to get in, however you got to get in.
You can't like escort me in, no, and let me in.
So. Well, I'm gonna talk to her in just a second. Right. We'll figure out what's going on. But
yeah, so then it was back to the more recent. I'm sorry.
Okay.
She wanted to take Lainey back inside.
Okay.
Lainey started screaming that she doesn't want to go inside without Daddy.
Okay.
And then she wants Lainey to go inside without Daddy.
Okay.
So
here we are.
Okay.
At any point with this argument, was it physical? Was it anybody hit, scratch, kick, bite, push, anything like that? Poke, anything even?
Nope.
Okay.
And this is where I wish coercive control was a thing in the United States. To me, it's not fair. The police should be able to intervene in a situation where a spouse has locked another spouse out of the car, I'm sorry, out of the house, and is refusing to allow them entry, and like refusing to allow them to get their things. It's, I wish more states had things related to verbal harm, because that's why he's asking, did they, was there any kicking? Like, he's trying to see, is there a, under Georgia law, is there any reason we can intervene? And sadly, by the time they come back to intervene, it is too late. Just a heads up, I am gonna play the audio. So he was on 911 calling because she allegedly locked him in the garage, and he was just trying to come in the house and get his things. She had locked him in the garage, and he's on the phone with 911 when he is shot and killed. And you hear the poor 911 operator, because the 911 operator, and he was able to say, "She shot me." Like, he was able to say that. And they had the nerve to have Bree's brother get up there. And now I try, because families want to support, they want to be there for each other, but Bree's brother is gonna try to say he was on the phone and he heard, all of this escalation between the 2 of them before this. Uh, but that doesn't make sense, because Collin is locked outside and he's in the garage calmly on the phone with 911 when this happened. And so she was charged with first degree murder, and a jury found her guilty. We're just going to listen to a little bit more of this, and then we're going to skip ahead.
So that's just basically just a verbal argument of the kids going to Georgia then. Is it a continuation from what happened earlier then? Is that fair to say?
Yeah, it's a continuation of years, but yeah.
Okay.
Continuation of years.
Right, but I mean, because I know we were out here earlier over the kid issues.
Oh yeah, this happened directly after you guys were here earlier. She locked me out.
Okay, about what time were we here earlier?
What, like 2?
2 sounds good? Okay, that's fine. Okay.
And that's Bree standing right there, waiting for her turn to talk with the police.
All right, just give me 1 second, okay? Yep. Let me talk to her and see what's going on. Do you mind if I step over? Talk to you?
No, it's okay.
Okay. Hey, so if you can talk over here. I don't, want arguing back and forth.
No,
So.
it's fine. He's terrible hearing.
Okay, so I'm Deputy Lynn with Central County Sheriff's Office, as I said earlier. So what's going on today?
Well, you guys were out here earlier.
Federal Unit 215, 10-4 check.
I'm 10-4, thank you.
I was trying to take my kids to Georgia.
Okay.
Are
they your kids or are they yours and his?
These 2, well, the small
Okay.
ones are mine and his.
Okay. And so he's more taking them to Georgia.
Now, he was also trying to take her 12-year-old daughter, that is not his biological daughter. But I think if her father, so if the 12-year-old's father, who's the one that we're going to hear his testimony a little bit later, if he knew what was going on, he probably would have been like, "I'll come get my daughter from like, yes, like make sure everybody's safe, make sure everybody's okay." And but he was trying to take all the kids, and I'm glad that he didn't want to leave the 12-year-old. And the kids were all in the house when she did this. She alleges that they were in her bedroom, but to me, I'm wondering, did she send them to the bedroom because she knew what she was going to do?
Yeah, I was talking to him about wanting a divorce. So he said that he's going to take the kids to Georgia, and he can because we're still married.
Okay. Yeah.
We got into an argument about it. He pushed me up against the wall. He threw me onto the floor in the bathroom.
I don't know if any of that's true.
I called the police.
Okay.
Earlier today.
Okay.
They came out. Did whatever they could do, which wasn't really anything.
I think she knows she can say these things to try to get him arrested, which is really sad, because there are people that have been harmed and never come forward. And it's just it's a really sad situation. Here's my little squirrel moment for the day. Y'all, I am watching the Menendez brothers, the Monsters series, and we have got to talk about that one right there. So we're probably going to talk about that one on Tuesday. Okay, so we're probably going to talk about the Menendez brothers on Tuesday. That show, Monsters on Netflix, all the trigger warnings. I had to y'all know me, I like to fast forward through certain parts when they start going into specifics. But I'm on episode 6, I think. I'm on episode 6 or 7. I think I'm on episode 7 of 9. We got to talk about it, but not today.
And then I locked him out.
Okay.
He had been in contact. Well, he had been in contact with my command.
Okay.
So I was he said that there's allegations of emotional abuse.
Okay.
So obviously, I don't want him in there.
Okay.
You know, him and I arguing in front of the kids. So I
Okay.
locked him out. My daughter, she wakes up sometimes, like inconsolable from naps or whatever.
Sure.
And it's usually like him and I will pass her back and forth. It's kind of, you know, she's fickle. Who
Okay.
she wants better. So she woke up from the nap.
When you say your daughter, you mean that one?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. Meanwhile, I had called him and texted him like, hey, you know, we should talk. This is not the path we want to go down right now.
Right.
Yeah, when she woke up like that, I brought her out here because she's used to him.
So, domestic, when people are married, is hard. So, he probably could have tried to get a protective order, like, if she had ever but and I don't know that it ever got to the place. Emotional and psychological harm is the hardest to prove. It's the absolute hardest to prove. And so that's why he was trying to work it out with the Navy, with all of the resources and tools that they had, available. They also did bring up the fact that he had a traumatic brain injury from his military career, but he was 2 months away from graduating with his degree in, I wanna say, electrical engineering. I'm almost positive it was electrical, and he had already been accepted to a master's program, and so I think he was found to have an injury that was too much to continue service in the military, where maybe he was no longer deployable, but I don't think he was this evil, Now when they argued, I'm sure things could probably get intense. I'm sure. I'm sure. Uh this is horrific. We're gonna
The
keep
man
going.
died, so I brought her out here.
Okay.
So he can help calm her down. He snatched her from me and then started trying to use her to.
Okay.
I don't know.
Okay.
He said, you know, she doesn't want to come in the house unless daddy's there.
Okay.
That's what she said.
Being manipulative.
Okay.
It's not a
So-
good environment.
I don't know if you overheard what I told him. It's his house too, right? He lives here too. So we can't lock each other out of the house. I mean, if we do, he's got every right to enter the house. However, he's got to enter the house.
Yeah, that's fine.
Okay. All right. And same thing. If you change the locks, he's got every right to get into the house.
But that's where I wonder if she's thinking, and I have every right to protect myself or something, because it's not he's allowed to be there. This is ugh.
Or he's got to get in the house. Okay.
Fine.
If he lives here, he's got property here. For the betterment of your daughter, whatever you guys could want, you got to put aside for the kids. You see what
Well, I
I'm saying?
agree, but he told me not to talk to him. So
Okay.
I'm not going to let him
All
in the
right.
house if he's going to come in and start
Okay.
arguing.
But at the same time, that's leaving the child. I mean, that's kind of leaving the child out here fend for herself. Does that make sense?
Yeah, for sure. So
Okay.
I don't want him to do that.
Okay. But I mean, I can't stop him from going inside the house.
Oh, that's fine. I just wanted
Okay.
him to see me so that she's not out here.
Okay.
They said earlier that since I didn't have any bruises, and
Okay.
there was nobody to witness
Right.
him getting physical with me,
Okay.
that they couldn't do anything.
Okay.
So
So
I don't
what
want to
you can
happen
do,
is
and
I don't want him to come in and
Okay.
get physical with me in front of my kids.
Okay. What I'm gonna tell you to do is what I tell everybody to do. You got that phone, right? That phone's got a camera on it. If at any point you feel threatened or like you're going to be harmed or anything
there,
like that.
I don't
Yeah,
want them to see.
So I have unique experience with this. So the military has gotten more so there are more and more service members that have mental health concerns, and the military wants to make sure that they get help and support. I've worked with active duty service members that are put on what's called limited duty, where but like that's if they go through the military hospital. Sometimes the military doctor will take away their access to firearms and will do that part of the risk assessment, will do their psychological, psychiatric, they'll manage all of those things. Locally, we have some military psych hospitals that do have inpatient units. The service member can also access the general, they can also access other options. So a service member can have significant can have significant mental health, like where they're struggling with thoughts of, you know, the self deletion, and still like, now if that does not resolve over a certain period of time, then they can be medically discharged. I think in the Navy, they call it a med board, where if the person is not going to be able to return to even a limited duty status, like if the person needs to get out of the military, there is a process where they can do that. If they have trauma that's occurred, or if something has happened since they've been enlisted in the military, because the military has a really bad SA issue, and of service members experiencing SA, and they try to have, trainings, and they try to do all these things, but it still happens. And so if something has happened to the service member during their service, then sometimes that's included and they're able to like medically retire. But there are options. And so she was the main breadwinner, and it sounds like he was the primary caretaker. So he was the one that took care of the kids. That's my understanding. And he was also going to school. Now, I think he was retired from the military, so he was receiving money. And if he had a traumatic brain injury, he was likely at least 70% to 100% retired, where he was likely receiving um, finances for that. That's just what I believe. All right.
I get it, and but I mean, everything's not preventable. We can't, we can't say, well, you got to stay out in the front yard for the rest of your life. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah. No, I just
at the risk of a potential argument. No, I get it. But like I said, I'm letting you know.
Okay.
At some point, we got to put our differences aside for the kids, and we got to say, hey, look, you got a guest bedroom, I got my room, or vice versa, whatever it is. I mean, if y'all sleep in separate rooms, or maybe somebody, take a chill pill and sleep on the couch tonight.
Right, he won't do that. He told me not to talk to him.
All right,
So
well,
I want to get my daughter out of the bugs and eat, if that's okay. And I have a
I'm perfectly fine with that. But I mean, like I said, it's just something that we got to, I mean, if bringing your daughter inside means he gets to come inside too, that might be something where we got to say, look, let's make a compromise. If you want to come inside with her, that's fine. I'm gonna go to the room and I'm gonna close the door and I'm gonna stay here. But at least your daughter's safe and she's not, out here in the road or whatever, or in the heat, getting bug bites or something like that. Does that make sense?
Yeah. So I'm gonna grab her.
Okay. Let me just get some information from you real quick. What's the kids' names?
Kylie.
Is it KY?
KYLIE.
She's gonna get annoyed with this part.
Okay.
Kuhn. I'm sorry. I really have to go back in because my 4-year-old. Can I just?
Okay. Yeah, absolutely. Well, if he's gonna wait out here for just a second with her, I'll go inside if you want with you. And
I don't want to alone with her.
Okay. Well, then we can all walk back inside.
Okay.
All right.
I don't want that either.
Okay. Well, I mean, that's what I'm saying. But we need to check on a 4-year-old. We want to make sure the 4-year-old.
No, that's fine. My 12-year-old's in there. So.
Okay. All right. It's okay. So what's
she didn't need to go back inside to check in on the 4-year-old.
KUHN. What's the middle name?
She's not.
You should have one. Okay. What's her date of birth?
May 22nd.
Who's she calling right now?
Okay.
Yeah, he called you, so can you get the information from him?
Yeah, that's fine. I mean, are you not wanting? I'm just trying to get the names of the kids.
Yeah, no, I gave them to the people earlier.
Okay. All right. Well, I mean,
She's not answering.
Okay. Yeah, go check them. By all means.
Oh, so she might have been calling her daughter.
So I've got Kylie's name. What's the other child?
Oh my gosh. Okay. So then they're going to talk to her a little bit more.
I'm just going to tell you that. Okay. That's a fair warning. Okay. As far as tonight, we've got to figure out something where you guys can, maybe one of y'all can get a hotel, maybe one of y'all can agree to sleep in another room or something like that or whatever. But what we got to do is we get something figured out that way we're not out here 10 more times tonight. You see what I'm saying?
Sure.
Okay. So he's going to bring the kid inside the house. Okay. And this is his house too. We're not going to prevent him from coming inside his house. Okay.
Yeah, so you were.
Okay. All right. So this is his house. He's going to bring the kid inside the house. And we're going to get things worked out, right? So we're not coming back out here 2 more times. Because if we do come out here and somebody tells me somebody's been physical and I can find some evidence of such, i.e. red marks, bruises, scrapes, scratches, or an evidence or a witness or anything like that, it's kind of somebody's going to wind up going to jail. Might be you, might be him. I don't know. I can't predict the future, okay? But what I'm telling you is if we continue to go down this route, we're going to have to start resorting to other things, okay? Does that make sense?
Yeah.
And I don't want to do that. Okay. I mean, I want everybody to get along and enjoy their night. Okay. Like I said, for the children's sake, if nothing else, I mean, we can hate each other, but in front of the kids, we not to, do something. Yeah. And again, I mean, I can't make you do something if that's not how you want to be. That's not how you want to be. But it's just probably for the best.
And
okay.
then,
does that make sense?
So also premeditation can be minutes before or moments before. And so I don't know that at this moment she had anything planned, but something escalated in the house and I don't know what happened. Um I don't I don't know. All right. So then we want to jump ahead to and careful with watching this video because I do think on when I watched it live, you actually saw his body on the body cam, and hopefully Law and Crime has either cut that out or they've blurred it or something. I hope that's been edited. This is the triggering one, and so I think this lasts just maybe like a minute. So, this next one is here's my trigger warning that we're gonna listen to the phone call. We should be done with it by 2:30 if anybody wanted to hop off or mute and then come back on. So this is his 911 call.
Your fault's emergency.
Hi, you guys have been out to my house twice today, and then most recently the deputy talked to my wife into letting me in the house, and then she locked me in the garage, and I tried to break my arm, and I was trying to get back inside.
What's your address, sir?
6184 Jenks, Kenks Drive.
It's coming soon.
She's currently got me locked in the garage because earlier she broke both of the big doors, and then when I came out here to fix it after getting in the house earlier, she locked the door behind me. And then when I tried to
Right there.
What was that?
she just shot me.
Oh, I'm scared it was somebody.
Three more times.
She just shot him. I just heard 4 shots. Sir, are you there? So we need to get somebody there. He's not answering.
Wow. And then
All right. Y'all. And the reason why I mentioned the 911 operator is because it's not like they heard it. They absolutely heard it. And it's my understanding the trajectory is from the back, that he likely had his back to the door. So the evidence that was presented was that he was shot from behind. Um, and so yeah. Uh when the officers get there, they know because the EMS arrive as well, and they're like, there's no need. All 4 shots in the back. And then she placed the weapon behind the toaster. Like, it looked like it was like a coffee maker and like like behind some kitchen appliances and like the kitchen. So, we are going to watch her get arrested. That's what's happening right here.
And my other 2 kids are 4 and 3. And they're in that house too.
Did you search her already? Hold on, real quick. We're gonna search you, okay? Hold on to your hand real fast, okay?
Is he dead?
I don't know yet, ma'am. I just got here.
No, I'm fine. I just took my kids and my husband.
Are the kids in the house?
No, they're with the neighbor.
I think she just sent them to the
Curtis,
neighbor
John.
afterwards.
Christy and John Curtis.
Any other
I have nothing.
thing on you that I need to be aware of?
Nothing.
Anything in your bra?
No.
You have a bra on?
I do have a bra.
I'm just gonna pull it forward, make sure you don't have anything in it,
It's
okay?
a nursing bra, so it's not. He was dead. I saw him and I tried to help, but he was dead.
Okay, well, let's
Why'd you try
not
to
talk about that right now, okay?
My kids don't have a dad or a mom now. And it's my fault. And he's
right? All right. For right now, we're just gonna do this for right now, okay?
Just for your safety, for ours, okay?
I'm a murderer.
See, listen, you're not listening to me. You're not under arrest right now. You're being detained, okay? We'll investigate.
No, you should arrest me. I killed my husband.
You should arrest me. I
Actually, I
killed
just
my
shot
husband.
him. Maybe he's not dead. He should not be dead.
So I don't know if those statements were to try to get at premeditation because she was hopeful that he was still alive after. I don't know. That was weird to me. And her saying that she tried to revive him. I don't know. Cuz she doesn't have any like blood on her or anything. Like it doesn't look like she touched him at all.
Should double lock her up.
How come they're not going to get him? The ambulance.
I think they need to talk to you too.
So, will the ambulance go get him?
All right. You searched her. She's good. I'm gonna sit her in the car. Don't say nothing. All right. Go ahead and have a seat in the car for me, okay? Listen to me, ma'am.
Yes.
Go ahead and have a seat in the car for me. It's easiest if you just sit your butt down first and you twist your feet inside, okay? Can you do that for me right now? I appreciate you. We'll get this figured out, okay? I'm gonna let you know as soon as I know something, okay?
He's dead.
Listen to me. I'm gonna let you know as soon as I know something, okay?
I think she's in shock.
All right. Just twist around, keep your feet inside there, okay? Now listen, I'm gonna crack this window for you so you can get some airflow, okay? Do you feel like you need EMS to check you out? Are you breathing okay? Okay, look at me.
She's not.
Okay, take some nice deep breaths, okay? I can see you holding your breath right now, okay?
But it's more of the revelation of what she did to me and not necessarily like more of just kind of what she did. So, they also have the interrogation and they are going to let her call her dad and they are going to continue to record while she's on the phone with her dad. So it's my understanding based on what I saw in the trial is that the kids were in her room. So she's going to get into this during cuz that's what the detectives are going to want to know where were the kids? Where were the kids? And I personally believe she sent them to her room. Or the 12-year-old knew when they start to escalate and they start getting really upset to take the kids to the room. Her dad, her dad was like I love you, but I am mad at you. Like I kind of I don't know. We'll talk about her dad when we get to that portion. Okay, let's see at what point because I don't think they're talking to her this whole time. Okay, I'm gonna fast forward to when they come in and they're actually talking to her. Is this the one? I think it is. Oh yeah. She's in there and they're talking to her. Okay, let's go from here. Georgia's probably hot. I'm fast forwarding.
Stand by.
You can just chill outside.
What else do you think?
Okay. He said, okay. Works for me. Yeah. All right, Miss Bree. This your mom? Would you like it over there by you? Okay. The only thing I'm gonna say one thing, and that is, I talked to a lot of people tonight, okay? But I feel like your voice is the most important. I want to give you the opportunity to kind of explain or maybe give us a little bit of insight exactly what happened tonight. That's kind of why it's important for you being here. But due to the day and age that we live in, I'm going to go and read you your rights, okay? You have the right to remain silent. Anything you say can be used against the court. You have the right to have a lawyer present while being questioned. If you cannot afford to hire a lawyer will be appointed for you without cost before questioning. If you wish to answer questions now without a lawyer present, you have the right to stop answering questions at any time. Okay. Do you understand your rights?
I'm under arrest.
You know?
They didn't say that part of, "Do you understand these rights as they've been read to you, and do you still want to talk to us?" or something. Like, they didn't read that part either. I'm hoping Sarah's interrogation stays in. Sarah Boone, her interrogation just has to stay in. It's priceless. It's so bad. I hope it stays in.
You're just tamed, which is different. But you're not on the list. Okay. Talking to you down there, you said that you would talk to me, answer some questions. So just kind of walk me through today. I know we got called out there a couple times. So just walk me through Bree's eyes.
I called the first time. We were arguing, and Collin asked my husband's years. He was threatening to take the kids.
Okay.
He said that since I had tried to kill myself.
So what she said was he was threatening to take the kids. I think he just wanted to take them to his parents in Georgia. Like, that's all he wanted to do. I think he just wanted to give her time and space to figure some stuff out.
A couple months ago, that no judge in the world would give me custody of children.
No judge in the world would give her custody, because I think she had 2 psychiatric hospitalizations. Now, just because a person has a psychiatric hospitalization does not mean that they cannot parent. But if they are drinking substances, like if there are other concerns, yeah. I have to speed it up just a little bit. Like, I can't listen to stuff at normal speed. I'm sorry. Blame ADHD. I sped it up to 1.25.
That's off.
Yeah.
You want to come off? Okay, that's fine.
I didn't realize you actually made it on the other. She's finding the other.
But the detectives are talking too fast. So they're going to take the handcuffs off.
Be a lot more comfortable for you in here.
He was and stuff. Just saying he was going to take the kids. And
Today he was.
yeah, and couldn't. This is in like our bedroom area, and he pushed me up against the doorway.
I don't believe it.
And I was just trying to talk to him, and then we were in the bathroom. He threw me on the ground.
Trigger warning. She's going to make allegations, and I don't believe them, but I don't know. But I'm not. I don't know. We'll do.
And said nobody would believe me because I was a crazy bitch. And so I called the police. And they came. They couldn't do anything because I didn't have any marks on me, and there wasn't any witnesses. And he made a statement. He filled out something. And I got the kids' stuff out of his truck while he was doing that. And put it in my car. because I was going to take them somewhere if need be. I got the garage door opener out of his truck, and I think when they left, he was like on the phone.
I don't believe so. She's gonna say something. I don't know that she knew it was with 911, but we'll see.
The command. So I closed the garage doors and I locked the door and took the batteries out of the lock so that he could come in and take the kids. I didn't want them. I didn't want them to see us fighting.
You did what you did.
And then there was a couple hours later that my daughter, the kids were napping, and I was texting him and calling him because he was in the driveway. He wasn't leaving, but he was just in the driveway.
How long was he locked out of the house?
Maybe an hour.
Okay. So he wasn't leaving?
No. My kids, they're 4 and 3, and 3-year-old, sometimes she wakes up from a nap, like really confused. Just like hysterical. Like you can't console her. And it's usually hit or miss on who can console her. Sometimes we end up just, they'll have her for a little bit and then give her to me, and she's still screaming on her. I end up handing her back and forth a couple times. But she was still crying. So I took her out front. And he was still there. So I started showing. I gave her to him.
And I think that the detectives are just letting her talk. I think they are gonna ask some questions a little later. And the call to the dad, I thought, was pretty telling. So that's what we're trying to get to.
And he wouldn't talk to me. I had texted him, just, saying like this is really like the path that we want to do. Like this is just crazy that we're fighting for the kids. Yeah. I went out there to go get her. And they could see it called the police.
So she's already like what she's talking about right now is what we watched at the beginning when he was holding her the daughter and had called the police. That's ma'am, like the reason why we're here is because of what you did. Just like I'm guessing a few hours ago or like that's why we're here. We don't need all this, but it's fine. It's fine, I guess. How bad things are for her. Maybe it's Cluster B. I love your username, and Borderline personality disorder is incredibly treatable. Dialectical behavior therapy is my personal method of choice, teaching skills, creating safety for my client in session. It is a diagnosis that I enjoy working with. For individuals with this diagnosis, I recommend that they ask if the therapist, if they have a history of complex trauma, if that's their history, or if they have a history of just what happened for their personality to kind of form that way. They want to make sure that they get a therapist that specializes in that. Because if you call someone and you say, I'm looking for a therapist, I have BPD, sometimes there will still be some stigma with that particular diagnosis because the therapist in their mind, they're thinking, oh, this person is going to require blah blah. I don't know, like sometimes people have in their mind what that's going to be. In my experience, I take it case by case, and if a client does need a more supportive service, a therapist that offers on call or that offers some of these other things, then I refer them out. For a lot of my clients that have um, either cluster B traits or that have been diagnosed with BPD in the past, it's really my goal to just help them get out of victim mode. So I talk about that a lot. I talk a lot about how, so right now, to me, Bree seems to be the perpetual victim. Like to me, she doesn't seem like she accepts responsibility for the role she plays and how things play out. Everything is always like, I didn't do it, but like you just punched some, or like you agitated. Like she's not accepting her role in just kind of how things are playing out, which makes it hard to change behavior. Because if my whole thing is the world needs to change to accommodate me, I'm going to be incredibly frustrated because the world is not going to change. Like it's not like I'm the one that has to do the work. I'm the one that has to do those things, and it can be really really hard for people to find it. All right, so let's go on ahead and we're gonna keep going. I hope if this one doesn't have the call to dad, I'm gonna have to. I don't think this one has it. I'm gonna have to find the call to dad.
He told me that I have mental health issues, that I don't think I'll be a reasonable one. And he doesn't trust me to leave me alone with the kids. Which wasn't correct. He just wanted to take them because I told him that I wanted a divorce. So he was just
Okay. I don't know. Maybe I don't. I wonder if he was the one that wanted the divorce. I wonder if he was the one that was done. I don't know.
trying to take the kids. I gotta go have an appointment tomorrow and on Friday. It's divorce lawyers. I just wanted to get divorced.
On February 24th, 2020, Sarah Boone and her boyfriend George Torres were
Sorry about that. My bad. I didn't fix it before it switched over, automatically started playing the next one. Okay. So this includes, because the last video did not have when she called her dad. So let's do this one. It's going to take a second. He's not going to answer on the first call.
Four.
He's not going to answer. They're going to call again. He's going to answer.
Hey. Where are you?
I'm in an office.
You're at the police?
Yeah.
Is it the police station?
Yeah.
All right. Whew.
I killed Collin.
I know you did, Sophie. I know you did. I'm just trying to figure out why. Was he threatening you, or?
She didn't answer that. She didn't answer that.
The kids okay?
No, they don't. Their dad is dead. And I'm belong in jail. I'm sure I'm going to jail. I think.
So are you in?
Because she was on the phone with her brother when she shot him. Okay. She has on shorts. She has on shorts, and then I think she's just cold. I think that's like a jacket to keep her warm. So because those are the same. It's the same t-shirt and shorts that she had on earlier in the day. Yeah, shorts and a blanket. Yeah, something like that. All right. We're gonna keep going.
Now, or you're doing
I'm gonna rewind it.
So are you in now, or you're doing a lot of, is this a phone call you're allowed?
Yeah, I said I could call you.
Because they're gonna turn on the recorder. And oh yeah, you can call your dad right here. There was a second view. There was a second camera because this wasn't the view we had earlier. There were 2 cameras in this room.
Have you, obviously it's early, we haven't figured out what the course of action is, but are you going to need a lawyer, or are you going to plead? Well, anyway, I'll ask you this later.
What do you think? I don't know, Daddy. I don't know. I don't know.
Well, you're not going to know. I mean, this is a shock.
We had such a good weekend. He's my best friend.
Hold on.
I don't want to have a good weekend in Florida. Okay? So I have a very, very dark sense of humor. I'm sorry. We will listen to it again. We will listen to it again. She said, "We had such a great weekend. He's my best friend." I think the cops were there like 3 to 4 times. So this is where she gave me Sarah Boone vibes.
We had such a good weekend. He's my best friend.
Hold on. Speak clearly. No, I'm not here to.
I know.
You have to what?
We had such a good weekend. He's
That's what I heard.
my best friend.
I want to have a Florida good day.
Parents said you guys had a great weekend, but for some reason,
You did this.
Collin started this thing last night with you.
Don't blame
I
Collin.
mean, you obviously didn't put his computer in the washer. We're clear on that, right?
I think she did.
He's dead.
He did, right?
He's dead.
Oh, yes, he is. I'm sorry about that. I'm very sorry.
That's where, Sarah, why are you sorry though? Like, but I think that's like I'm sorry for your loss, but she's the one that did it. I don't know. I've never had to talk to somebody after, and I don't ever want to, that we have to talk about the Menendez brothers therapist Tuesday. Menendez brothers therapist. He lost his license. We have to talk about it. Not today. I'm gonna try. Not today.
And Hardy's got Kylie. You can do that, of course.
Yes.
All right. JP and Laney are with Child Protective Services, I guess?
I don't know.
You don't know?
They
Okay.
wouldn't tell me anything.
All right, we'll find out tomorrow. We'll start calling. Are you with the Sheriff's Department?
There was a deputy here.
Okay, because I've been trying to figure out, all the police numbers, they go straight to voicemail unless you call 911.
I think it's an attorney, district maybe, the district attorney, state. I don't know.
Oh,
It's the guy in a suit. He asked if I would come to his office and talk to him, and so the cop brought me here.
oh.
Thursday.
You're waiting to talk to somebody in their office?
I talked to them.
Oh, you did? Okay. What did you tell them? Can I ask?
I don't know. So I killed him.
Well,
I
yes,
tried to. I tried to help him.
Tried to help him. Oh, she's saying afterwards. I don't know.
You tried to help them?
I got the kids out of the house, and I went back and I tried to help him, and there was just blood everywhere.
If there was, it goes to the kids.
I'm sorry. I'm sorry.
I don't think she did it for money. I don't think that this was. I think this was just. This was. If he left her, she was probably going to lose her kids. And in my personal opinion, I don't know what was in her mind. In my personal opinion, it feels like if she couldn't have her kids, he couldn't have their kids either, which is so selfish. So selfish. If for some reason my husband was gonna take our child and the courts deemed he was the more fit parent, I would do what I could to change the court's mind. But I wouldn't do anything to my child's father. But I don't do crimes. I just speed a little, not too much. And no, 5 to 10 over. Shush, shush. But nothing reported, like nothing. There, to my knowledge, there were no injuries. So this is her allegation. Her allegation is that she was a battered spouse. She claimed self-defense. She locked him out of the house, and she claimed like self-defense, that she had fear that he was going to harm her. We are going to talk about why her expert, Dr. Julie Harper, who is also the expert in the Sarah Boone case, why that expert was not allowed to testify. We're going to talk about that in just a moment. We have to get through this. I'm sorry. She's also going to ask her dad, will he take the kids? And so that's where, to me, her dad is like a straight shooter. I don't know. Like her dad is, because she's going to ask him to take the kids.
There are, all right, I'll be able to find out the answers to these things tomorrow. We got to figure out, do you want us to come down there? Is there anything we can do? I know it's a little early to start figuring this stuff out because you're still in shock. I guess you were telling Eric when this happened.
Is he okay?
He is. He's shook up though, as you can imagine, huh?
Okay, so the dad might kind of have a dark sense of, I don't know. Would you call that a dark? I don't know. Because she was on the phone with her brother when she shot and killed her husband. So he heard everything. And he's going to say that he heard arguing, he heard slap. I don't know how you can hear like pushing, slapping. And if I hear my family member being harmed on the phone, I'm going to hang up with them and call 911 and like get authorities to their home. I'm not just going to sit there and like talk to them on the phone while I hear them being harmed, but I'm logic.
As we all are, not as much as you are, but everybody's just trying to sort it out, so. Just, obviously you don't want to think about it, but you've already spoken to the district attorney, and what was just a question about what happened?
Yeah.
Okay. Was it a short conversation, or did you waive your right to an attorney?
Yeah.
Okay, all right, fair enough.
I think I need one though.
Well, you may or you may not, but yeah, typically people do in these cases. So it's been too early for any of this stuff discussed, I'm sure.
Yeah.
How did the district attorney conversation end?
I wanted to call you.
He let me call you.
Uh-huh.
Okay, are you going to continue talking to him, or that's the end of the discussion?
Not tonight.
You will talk tonight?
Not tonight, no.
Not tonight. Tomorrow, did you mention, or you just don't know?
I don't know.
Okay. Do you know if Don and Saray know?
No, I don't know.
Okay.
Collin's parents.
Yeah. Keep crying, hon. Get it out. I mean, I gotta believe there was a reason it happened. Typically don't go around shooting people without a reason. He threatening you, or were you in the middle of an argument? Eric seemed to think he sounded like Collin was mocking you at the time. But
That's important. I missed that the first time I watched this. So Collin might have been mocking her. He might have been. He might have been mocking her a little.
I don't know.
I don't know.
You don't know either.
I need to go.
But if he was threatening her, she would have said he was threatening her. So that's just my 2 cents.
Go back to the hospital.
Are they taking you to the hospital?
I don't know.
All right, well, why do you need to go back to the hospital? Are you thinking of hurting yourself, or?
I don't know.
All right. I don't know
They have watch in jail. You can just be on watch in jail.
either. And this isn't so. I really don't know what I'm going to be able to do. I'm just trying to be honest.
Yeah, so I think he also does like a nervous, because right now I don't think he's laughing. Like it sounds like he has a lot of emotion about all this. To me, I don't know him.
Because we couldn't believe it, of course, and then it became obvious that it was true. I'm sure there was a reason. Are you in an office right now by yourself, or are you with someone there?
I'm by myself.
Can I, before we're done, and you're about to hang up,
Yeah.
did you see if the district attorney can talk to me, or has he already said he can't, or he's already left?
I'm in the room by myself.
Okay.
I can ask him. I'll knock on the door.
Well, we're done. Is there more to talk? You have to talk about it. I'm here to listen, man.
Daddy.
Yeah, I know you don't. I know you don't, sweetie. Well, I don't don't have the answer for this one. This is a big deal.
You really killed my best friend.
You did.
My husband, father of my kids. I just fucked up everybody. I killed him and fucked up everybody else's life.
Brings a checking on you.
My dad wanted to know if you could talk to him.
Oh, okay.
Daddy, the guy's here.
Good. Okay, I'll talk to you later. All right, I love you. I'll talk to you tomorrow. What we're doing.
Well, she'll be present. You're on. She'll be present.
Dad.
All right, huh?
So I think the portion where they were all talking, I think that part was not, because I'm watching the trial feed, so that part was not brought into court.
All right. Well, I'm just trying to sort this out. I don't quite know where to go from there. So it sounds like you'll be seeing the jail staff later tonight. If you feel, I'm not trying to apply any suggestions, but if you feel like you're going to hurt yourself, you better point it out to somebody, all right?
Yes.
There's light at the end of this tunnel. It's difficult to see at this point. But we got to get through these first few hours so the shock can start to wear off and before you do anything rash, okay?
Yeah.
You're hearing me, right?
Yes.
All right.
What about
Life is what?
Lainey and JP?
That I don't know yet. Obviously, they've been taken into some sort of protective services. So we'll have to start researching that tomorrow.
Can you guys take care of them?
Permanently?
Permanently?
Until I can have them back? For now? Just so they're not in a foster home?
Her dad, and I appreciate him thinking and being like, I'm not going to agree to this in this moment, because I'm glad that these kids are with their father's parents. Like I'm really glad. I wish Aliyah Bulaban's daughter was with her, like was with Anna's mother and not Ali, but that's just my own personal thoughts. This is my own personal things. I am glad hearing Collin's mother and father, and the father, like, get the tissues ready when we get ready to share that part. The Collin's father, oh, it is heartbreaking.
Until something else gets figured out.
Well, we're going to be involved in figuring out the process. I guarantee that. We have to talk to Teray and God, I don't even know if they know yet.
So he wants to talk with the other grandparents first, which I appreciate him not coming in, and because to me, what she did was about control. And I wonder if she thought that her parents would step in and take over everything. And her dad's like, I didn't, like, no, I'm not gonna take them permanently. Because he said permanently.
Don't know.
He seems very logical to me.
Okay.
I think she did.
All right, my answer was absent, as you noticed. I did not say I was going to do that. And I don't mean to upset you more with that, but
I understand.
I'm not ready to make. What's that? No, you don't understand, but yeah, damn it. I'm really pissed right now, Bree. I'm very mad at you. I know you're going through a terrible thing, but Jesus, this is so uncharacteristic. Why did you grab a gun? Was he going to hurt you?
I don't know.
Yeah.
What's that?
I don't know.
That's a no.
Are you on any meds right now?
Yeah.
Okay, do you have them with you?
No.
Well, that's something that needs to be addressed. Could you bring that up to the sheriff?
Not yet.
Respectfully, of course.
Yes.
Where's the jail staff? If you had to wait that.
So that was my favorite part of this. I had never heard, besides like Wade Wilson's dad, like multiple calls into it, Wade Wilson's dad finally tells him off. But for the dad, the day of to be like, I'm pissed at you. Like, what is this? Like I was kind of impressed by it, but not like impressed, just um I know that had to be hard for him because it sounds like he really loves his daughter and he really supports her. Okay, let's get to the brother's testimony. I can't laugh. Ugh, okay. So this is Eric Kahn. Eric is so we're not going to hate on Eric, okay? So we're going to talk about facts, okay? We are not going he did not come off credible to me. So we're just going to listen to a little bit of Eric's testimony. He is going to claim that he was on the phone with Bree when all of this happened.
You listen to my question. Question was, kidnap her word or your word?
Okay, let me go back a little. Okay, they took a lot of breaks in this case. A lot of breaks. Where's his testimony? Okay. So let's start about here.
I'm 38.
Let me go back.
Younger.
And how do you know Bree?
She's my younger sister.
And how old are you?
I'm 38.
Just briefly, did you guys like grow up together or separate or talk about?
I think off base, because if it happened on base, I believe the Navy police might have been involved. I think all of this. So the MPs, or whatever they call it in the Navy. I've lived on Air Force bases all of my life. We called them MPs, so military police. So if they were on base, it would have been military police responding. I believe they were off base because there were regular police responding. So I do believe all of this happened off base. Yes, because what is it? Like it really is the naval, because I've received a call from the naval investigators before. So that really is a real thing. Where Navy police can reach out and talk about stuff. If this had happened on base, because she's an officer, she might have actually had more power being an officer on base, especially chief petty officer. I think is that like a E7 or I don't know, O2 chief petty officer. It might be higher than an O2. What is that? O rank. What is it? Yes. So E7, yes. Okay. All right. Because sometimes enlisted officers or enlisted people that enlist can work their way up to chief petty officer in the Navy. That's my understanding. Not a military person. I work with a lot of veterans and grew up on Army bases and Air Force bases. And my dad is retired Air Force. I have a lot of military family.
That dynamic a little bit.
We grew up together until I was in
chief petty officer,
ninth grade, and then my sister moved to live with my dad.
Okay. Was there ever a time that you two became reunited in terms of living in the same place after that?
No.
Was there a point in time you moved to Texas with your sister?
We moved to Texas. She moved from Texas to New York with my dad. We lived in Pennsylvania together.
Yes, sir.
Moved to Texas together with our mom, and then she went from Texas to New York with my dad.
Was there any, and again briefly, was there any physical abuse at all in the family?
Yes, our mom was very abusive our entire childhood, even into adulthood.
Was she ever physically abusive to Bree?
Yes.
Okay.
Terribly.
And to yourself?
Oh, yes.
And once again, being the victim of a crime does not mean that you do crimes. Okay. So that's where I wish that if she had her own history of childhood trauma, that she had received help and support for that because it's it's tough because there are people that decide, okay, because of my traumatic childhood, I'm not going to physically harm my children, but they emotionally harm their children. And that's still harm. And I don't want to do harm if I can. Like, I don't want to do harm. And I want to break these generational patterns and generational trauma. She caused her children unimaginable trauma. They were there. They likely heard the gunshots. They know their mom killed their dad. Like that's and so I know that people introduce this stuff to kind of be like, "Oh, I have PTSD, I have these things." And so that's why I like talking about treatment and things that work and how we have to break cycles. We have to break it.
What role, if any, did Bree play in being the big sister with regard to your?
Well, she was the little sister, but
Sorry.
I would always go along to get along. I would just
Peacemaker.
I figured if I kept my mouth shut, it wouldn't last nearly as long. My sister would even try to defend me and yell at my mom saying, "Why are you hitting him?" And then she would get hit very bad as well for trying to protect me.
A lot of service members go into the military. So the military is filled of people with traumatic childhoods because the military is one of those things where at 17 or 18 years old, you can enlist and have a career where they provide you with housing. Like, you can have, the barracks, you can have meals. Like, so the military is one of those places where a lot of individuals, not everyone, but there are a lot of individuals that have histories of childhood trauma that the military is an escape for them. Not a reason to do crimes, okay? But I like pointing that out. Um and Bree being emotionally reactive and emotionally dysregulated as a child may have been part of her personality development. And so I do this to try to understand a person's mind and what kind of happened along the way and how someone could have intervened as well.
Was Bree a protector of yours, for lack of a better word, in that dynamic?
Yes, she's a little sister only by age.
Yes, sir. Now, obviously, you guys grow up and people live in different places and so forth. Did you stay in touch?
Yes.
Phone calls?
Phone calls, text messages, social media, but we would even visit. Sometimes I would see to the bungalows in Key Largo in Florida about 1 to 2 years before this incident occurred.
And who was on that trip?
It was me, Bree, and Collin.
Is there any reason you were, well, did they invite you?
Yes, I was given a couple of reasons. One is Collin was in school, so he was studying quite a bit. So they thought that if he was studying, I could hang out with my sister so she wasn't alone. If she wanted to rest or recoup, I could hang out with him if he wasn't studying. And then they also, both of them at separate times and together, told me that they were having marital issues and they thought a third person might help what they were working on together.
Yes, sir. Did you notice any physical abuse on that trip? At least, obviously, in front of you.
No, not that I saw, sir.
Okay. Did you learn anything about Collin that you didn't know on that trip?
Yes, sir.
What did you learn?
It was in my deposition, but I know he told me that the reason him and Bree got along very well is that they were both psychopaths and narcissists. He seemed to think that was.
I forgot that part of the testimony. I forgot that part of the testimony. I'm going to let it keep going.
Was entertaining, I believe. I know we would talk about, I would go to the gym at that place and he would talk to me about like steroids and supplements and things like that, which I didn't.
Your Honor,
I
I'm
didn't-
object for relevance.
Sustained.
If he did
Fair
steroids,
enough.
I don't care. He didn't kill
We can
anyone.
move along.
Sorry.
So you go back to, at that time, still in Pennsylvania, I guess?
Yes, sir.
Okay. And Bree goes back wherever she is, and you guys continue to have.
Does he realize he's also calling his sister a psychopath and a narcissist? Like, that's what, because he didn't kill anyone. Okay. Collin did not unalive a single, like in the military, I don't know his job. I don't know what he did. I am so grateful for the people that serve our military. I have a family member that used to serve on like one of those elite units and ended up with PTSD. Can't talk with us about the stuff he's seen and done, but like he has a therapist that he can talk to about, that kind of stuff. I appreciate because a little bit of antisocial personality is common within certain positions. So that's why I love working with active duty Marines and Navy and other service members because they can be a certain way at work, but they need to be different with their family. And so with their family, they just can't bring that home. And it sounded like he was loving and caring and attentive to the children. You saw the way his daughter was clinging to him, and I can't. But we have to let this play out. We have to let
Conversations
here and there. Yes, sir.
Okay. Did Bree ever tell you anything about her marriage or about Collin that would be noteworthy? How they were getting along? Any problems? Anything like that?
Yes, sir. It seemed like that trip didn't help much. They were still having really bad issues, and I came to learn how far they went later on as
in
well.
my opinion.
And did your sister, if you could,
Oh, I have to fast forward. I just can't with this part. We're gonna fast forward.
did you hear? Did you?
Okay, I'm gonna go back a little bit. We're now to the
You
incident.
believe? We get to a point where you hear indicators of a struggle in the ow and the throwing around and so forth. How long after that do you believe your sister got the gun? And if you know.
Immediately. She was thrown to the ground, and he was grabbing the kids because I heard the kids yelling.
Your Honor, I'm going to object to speculation.
Sustain the objection.
And then we end up, what happens next? Or what do you hear next?
The shots.
Prior to the shots going off, did you hear your sister say anything?
She kept saying that he was not going to kill the kids.
She's the one with the gun. What do you mean, sir?
And the kids were crying.
She wasn't going to take the kids? She was probably saying that. I think she was saying he's not going to take the kids.
And you're not there. You hear the shots. Did you say anything after that?
I was crying and yelling, "Oh my God." And she told me, I killed him. I have to call the cops," and hung up. I tried calling her back. There was no answer. Then I called my father.
One second here. That'd have been fun. No further questions.
I think he dropped something. Something happened off camera.
Mr. Alderman, cross-examination.
Yes, sir.
Oh, so if it wasn't obvious, Eric was called by the defense.
Okay. Can this, oh, you do have cross-examination.
Yes.
Okay.
Good afternoon, Mr. Kuhn.
Good afternoon, sir.
So I like his tie. Like he's dressed very, I don't know. He looks nice, but
So I want to touch on this trip that you and your sister took to Key Largo, was it?
With Collin.
Yes. And you're there for approximately a week. Is that correct?
Yes, sir.
And you never, as you said, you never saw any physical abuse during that time, did you?
No, sir.
Did you suspect any physical abuse?
No, sir.
You never suspected anything other than the marital issues. You never suspected any kind of physical abuse, domestic abuse, rape, anything, did you?
until your
No,
sister
sir.
killed her husband.
And you thought Collin was a nice guy, didn't you?
I had some qualms after he told me that he believed himself to be a psychopath, but that was it. I thought it made.
Do you remember previously? Well, let's talk about that. The psychopath. He makes the comment, we're both psychopaths. And then he and Bree both laugh, don't they?
At the time they were together, he made it other times as well, alone.
Okay. And they both laughed when he said it when they were together?
Oh, when they were together, yes.
So they both laughed and agreed they're both psychopaths.
Mm-hmm.
Is that a yes?
Yes, sir.
Okay. And that comment that's the worst thing you saw and heard during that time together? I mean, is
Worse?
that
No, my sister confided in me about what the issues were at
No, but what you observed, sir, not what your sister told you, what you observed.
home, but none of them involved the other things you mentioned.
right? They were marital issues, right? It comes to chores.
Yes, sir.
And she had told you she was stressed about that she was working and was financially responsible, correct?
Yes, sir.
Those kind of marital issues.
Yes, sir.
Okay. And up until the day Collin was murdered, you never had any reason to suspect anything untoward in terms of a physical nature, did you?
No, sir.
Until it became convenient for your sister. I'm sorry, but I'm not sorry. I mean it.
Now, you mentioned about talking to your sister several times that day, correct? And that there was issues about the surgery. And I believe you'd said that Collin had made a comment about kidnapping the kids.
Yes, sir.
Okay. Was he going to kidnap the kids, or was he refusing to watch the kids, according to Bree?
I don't know that the phrase kidnap was used. It was that he was going to take the kids to his parents if she had the surgery.
Okay. So he wasn't refusing to watch them.
He was saying he would take them and she would never see them again.
Okay. Do you remember being interviewed by the police?
Excuse me?
Do you remember being interviewed by the police?
Yes, sir.
Okay. And on September 24th?
So the prosecution is just going to point out all the inconsistencies in his statement. It really was great to see. I don't think that was this day. Okay. So they're going to talk about the fact that with Dr. Julie Harper. So let's see. They're going to talk about Dr. Julie Harper. And I'm going to get to that question. Okay? So this question. So with somebody can meet criteria for PTSD and it not be self-defense. And I think Dr. Harper is a forensic psychologist. And every person deserves to put a defense forward. And it's up to the jury to determine which experts have more credibility, like which facts are going to weigh heavier, or the jury gets to make that decision. And there are a lot of people that will say, if a person has experienced certain things, that they might have that fear. So that came up in the Ashley Benefield case where there had been allegations, and it did seem like an incredibly toxic relationship. It seemed just very controlling and back and forth. And once she was pregnant, it seemed like that's when she tried to, you know, kind of run off with the child, and he very much wanted to stay married, and things were bad there. And but is lethal force necessary? And it's a jury. So a jury of people that might have, so there, if it's a jury of 10 to 12 or 8 or 6 people, somebody probably has a history of experiencing a major life event, a major trauma. Um they normally try to weed out people that have histories of DV or experience it being the victim or perpetrator of that. But it really does get to be up to the jury. So a good expert can admit that there are other ways to see the case, because when you are the expert, they will ask you things like, isn't it what's the most common way somebody who is a battered spouse, what's the most common method that they use? And I would think it would be a pew pew. Like that's what I would think would be one of the most common things that are used. A suitcase is not. It's going to Sarah Boone's case. Suitcase, very, very rare. And in this case, if Dr. Harper had been able to testify, if he is in the garage on the phone with 911, how is he a threat to her? And I think Bree might have said, "Well, I thought he had a weapon in his truck," or I don't know. Like they're gonna say these things. And so experts get to disagree. Different people think different things. I do. Okay, so let's listen to the judge talk about this part of the case. Yeah.
And again, as I stated before at the bench, I'd reviewed some case law even before the trial started, believing these issues may arise. So right now in the state of Florida, we have a split among the District Court of Appeals on whether or not PTSD testimony is admissible to establish self-defense. In the Mizell case, which is the first DCA, the first DCA said it could be admissible. We have the Okendo case, which is from the second DCA, says it's not admissible. There was another DCA maybe 2 weeks ago, and I can't remember if it was the fourth or the sixth DCA, agreed with Okendo. And I don't know if that opinion is technically final. I saw that. So I think this has been within the last 2 weeks. But here is what I also take out of the Mizell case in the first DCA, is that what happened in that case is the state wanted to preclude PTSD testimony. And what the trial judge did in that case is said, no, as long as these parameters are met, it could be admissible. The state appealed. And what the DCA said was that it could be admissible. And the DCA had no issues with the parameters that the trial judge gave. One of the parameters was that the trial judge said, in order to present PTSD, the defendant had to testify, because it's got to be the defendant that lays that predicate. Otherwise, you could have an expert witness be a conduit to inadmissible hearsay.
And so that's where what he's saying is that if certain testimony, PTSD, and I think they might also include self-defense, in order for that testimony to come in, the defendant has to testify, because then the state can cross-examine the details, versus if I'm the psychologist and this is what the client said, all I can tell you is what the client said. Like I can't I can't all I can tell you is what they told me. But when it's the defendant, you can ask additional questions, and you can And so that's where I think they think it's fair to both sides. Yes, this testimony can come in, but the defendant has to testify.
I don't know if you're inviting argument right now or you're giving me an advisory, which I absolutely appreciate. I would say this, though, either way, Dr. Harper would come in tomorrow and I would proffer, in all likelihood, if you would allow that. No, I'm grateful for your,
What I'm saying is if based on, first of all, based on Okendo, I don't think the PTSD comes in. Okay. Now, I understand the first DCA said otherwise. I think I personally agree with Okendo and the rationale. But even if it could come in under the first DCA case, it appears that a defendant has to testify before an expert can come in and render such opinions.
I understand that logic with regard to hearsay. However, if the doctor bases that opinion on, for instance, the video interrogation, this lady obviously had.
The defense is fighting real hard to have her not testify. That's what, because I think their client has probably told them she doesn't want to testify.
Has PTSD, and let me tell you why. It's far-fetched, I'll agree. But if she gives an opinion without using hearsay, then.
Well, then we run into the issue of what is the state going to be able to do for rebuttal? I mean, can the state's expert render such an opinion to say perhaps she's not, she's not suffering from PTSD? And then we have the issue of with battered spouse syndrome, notice has to be given, right?
Yes, sir.
Yes, which was, as you know.
Yeah, no, it was in this case, but there's been no notice of PTSD in this case.
I can comment on that if
Sure.
And so they're pretty much, she's going to decide not to testify. And so this becomes a moot point. Let's get to the rebuttal expert, her ex-husband, the father of, at the time, their 12-year-old daughter.
living situation of Kylie at that time.
She lived with Bree and Collin full time, and I saw her every other weekend.
Where were you living? Not the address, but where were you living at that time?
The Mobile, Alabama area.
Now, on the day of the shooting, did you have any contact with Mr. Collin Turner?
Yes, sir, I did.
And how did that contact come about?
He texted me, initiated a conversation with me about an argument that him and.
And I think he's a law enforcement officer. Like he's a special agent. He does investigations and stuff. So I think he has testified before. His testimony was very polished. He came across very credible to me, and he was called on rebuttal. So the prosecution did not originally call him. They called him to rebut the testimony of the brother.
Bree were having.
And the nature of your contact with Mr. Turner that day, how were you guys communicating all that day?
It was all via text.
Did you ever speak to him on the phone?
No, sir, I did not.
So they're going to admit those text messages. He has awesome hair too.
Sir, I've handed you what's been marked as State's Exhibit 108 for identification purposes. Do you recognize those messages?
Yes, sir, I do.
Okay. How do you recognize those messages?
It's a conversation between myself and Collin the night of the incident.
Okay. And is that an accurate copy of the text messages that you and Collin sent back and forth?
Yes, sir, it is.
Okay. Now, at this time, I'd like to move into evidence State's Exhibit 108.
Any objection?
No objection, Your Honor.
Exhibit 108 will be admitted into evidence.
And I would move to publish.
So, and it's going to come out. So I think Collin called the father of the 12-year-old because I think he was getting ready to leave and he wanted to take the kids with him because I don't think he was aware just how much Bree was struggling mentally. So I do think she likely had PTSD, significant depression, and sometimes people can get homicidal when they're in those kinds of states. And so this went way, 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 way too far. And that's why I talk a lot about treatment. And yes.
Judge, you may.
I'm ready whenever you're ready. Agent Joanna, what is the time of that first message?
Appears to be 12:55 p.m.
And the messages on the left in the white, who is sending them those messages?
That's Collin, and that's myself in the darker shade.
And can you read the first message that Collin sent you that day?
Yes, sir. Hey, man, Bree's losing it. She ran my laptop through the dishwasher last night because I turned the Wi-Fi off. I'm planning on getting out of here with the little kids, but she's already told me she'll press charges if I take Kylie with me. I don't know what you can do legally, but I wanted to give you a heads up.
And how did you respond to Collin?
I said, damn, dude, I hate that. I'm not sure what to do, but thanks for the heads up. I was really hoping that she, referring to Bree, had gotten better.
And what was Collin's response to you?
She got kicked out of 2 group therapies and she skipped her last 2 individual therapies, still drinking a lot.
So I don't know. So I don't know that any of this, y'all correct me in the chat because I did not watch every moment of this trial, but I don't think this had come in yet. The fact that she got kicked out of 2 group therapy appointments, like you. And so that's where that does kind of point that she's a disruptive person at times. Oy. And she skipped. She did not go to her last 2 individual therapy appointments.
And what was the time of your next message back to Collin?
It's 1809, 6:09 p.m., I believe is what it was.
And what did you ask Collin, or what did you say to Collin?
I said, everything okay, man.
And how did Collin respond to you?
He said, nah, gonna be worse before it gets better too. She's always told her stories about you, and I thought you sucked. But now that I think about it, she's crazy as hell and probably did the same stuff to you.
And how did you respond to Collin?
I said, I definitely had my down days, and I did my share of wrong in the past, but I'm sure there's plenty more to the stories you don't know, as you can probably see now.
And what was Collin's next message to you?
Yep, she just locked me in the garage because I wouldn't talk to her.
And what was the time Collin sent you that message?
6:13 p.m. approximate.
Okay. And how did you respond to Collin's statement about being locked in the garage?
I said, if you ever want to talk, I probably know more about what you were able to keep her happy a lot longer than me, and you somehow have been able to get through to her more than I ever did.
Did you ever have any more?
And it's never a partner's job to save the other person. So I don't expect my husband to make me happy. I cannot be the only source of his happiness or even the main one. Like, like, I don't, you have to have other things in your life. Your kids can't be the only source of your like happiness. Like you, so it's a whole thing.
Or communication with, oh, thank you, Judge. Did you ever have any more communication with Collin?
No, sir.
So they probably set boundaries, and I don't know what diagnosis she has. If she was engaging in things like black and white thinking and, not getting her needs met in healthy ways, so manipulation, if she was like starting issues in the group, you can also get kicked out if you arrive if they suspect that you might be under the influence of something, but they typically won't let you drive home because, like, if you're under the influence, if you're too, intoxicated for therapy, you can't drive home. So I don't think it was anything like that. There was probably something happening in the groups if that was true. So I don't know, but like I don't know that Collin would have a reason to lie in those messages. I hope that's helpful.
Now, again, you didn't speak with him on the phone, so everything you know about the situation that day is in these text messages. Is that fair to say?
Yes, sir.
Okay. And did you discuss any of the things he's telling you about the issues they're having that day? Did you discuss any of that with Bree?
No, sir.
Okay. At some point that day, did you speak with Bree?
So black and white thinking is all good or all bad. I either love you or I hate you. You're my best friend or you're like the worst person ever. It's either I love you, I hate you. It's I hate you, don't leave me. It can be that back and forth. There's often and so all or nothing thinking, like Sarah said here. Okay. So that's what DBT skills does, is it teaches people how to live in the gray. So things are normally not all good or all bad. A person can be both my best friend and kind of annoying, or they can be my best friend and I don't like it when they blah blah blah. Like, so learning to balance both can be really, because when I say you're never there for me, like, it's gonna start an argument because all they have to do is say one time they were there. Like, "I was there for you yesterday," but that's not the point. The person is trying to say, "I feel like you're not there when I really need you," or something. And so, that all or nothing thinking can cause a lot of issues. Learning to live in the gray is, and there are skills. There are things you can do to do that. So
I did.
How did that come about?
She contacted me. She called me. I answered the phone, and she said, "You need to come get your daughter," to some extent. And I thought, maybe she's just being a 12-year-old. And I said, "Why do I need to come get my daughter?" And she said, "I just shot Collin." And I responded, I said, "Why?" And she said, I don't know. She said, "You just need to come get Kylie." And I said, "Okay, I'm on the way."
Did she give any more description about what had happened?
No.
And where did you, once she has contacted you and told you this, where did you go?
I was on the way pretty much immediately to her residence in Gulf Breeze.
Now, prior to that day, or up until including that day, Collin was Kylie's stepdad. Is that correct?
Yes, sir.
Okay. Did you ever have any concerns about Collin being a stepdad to Kylie?
No, sir. He was great, and she had nothing but good things to say about him all the time.
mhm.
Thank you, sir.
Yes, sir.
But now is trying to claim
Ms.
self.
Rutherford, cross-examination?
Yes, sir.
We're going to listen to this because it was interesting.
Good morning, sir.
Good morning.
You're with the DEA and you addressed yourself as a special agent. I've practiced federal law many, many years and always not being facetious.
So her lawyer is going to try to make him, is going to try to be like, "You're not really that special." And he's going to be like, "Sir, you better ask somebody."
But is there anything you're special about? Everybody that's an officer for DA are called special agents. That's just your designation, right?
No, sir. I'm a 1811, a criminal investigator special agent, and we're the only people in DEA that are special agents, are 1811s.
How long have you been with them?
Approximately 5 years going on.
Okay. Collin told you he was going to get the kids and go to Georgia, didn't he?
He said he was going to try to take the kids. Yes, sir, in the text.
And he also told you that Bree was going to have him arrested if he tried to take Kylie, because Kylie wasn't his biological daughter, right?
Yes, sir. He told me that she was going to press charges, is what he said.
And Bree had full custody of Kylie, didn't she?
Yes, sir. She had full
So I think because he introduced himself as a special agent and he's not up there for his like he's not up there as a DEA agent. So I think the defense wanted to try to poke at his credibility, like what makes you so special? And he's like, no, I really am that special. Like I no, like anybody can't be a special agent. Only people in this special group get to be special agents. So yeah, I have a bad habit when I introduce my name. So like in court, when I'm asked to say my name, I normally say Dr. Patrice Berry, but like that's not the name I was given. I should just say Patrice Berry. And then they ask about my credentials and all. But normally, so every time I've testified in court since being a doctor, when they ask me my name, I say Dr. Patrice Berry. So the other experts, they don't do that. So I'm probably not going to do that anymore. Hopefully, I haven't had to go to court in like 2 or 3 years, I think. Knock on wood. Like I get paid when I go, but it's not worth it. I don't know.
Full custody. I had visitation.
She was very liberal with allowing you to see your daughter, right? Y'all don't have any issues with you seeing your daughter?
No,
I think it was
sir.
every other weekend, right?
Yes, sir. At that time, they had just moved close to me, so I started getting her consistently every other weekend.
Okay. And you knew that Bree had been hospitalized for an apparent attempted suicide.
I did not at that time.
So that was interesting to hear. He knew she was hospitalized, but he didn't know why.
I was aware that she was hospitalized, but I did not know that it was for an attempted suicide until after this incident.
And then the defense is going to try to bring up his like deposition but like you said in the deposition that you knew, but but that was after the incident. I found out after the incident. It's going to go back and forth and it's going to be
direct test. That's not a question.
I'm going to show you something, page 18, lines 3 through 5. If you will, Mr. Hardy, I'd like for you to read 3 to yourself. Now, if you have a chance to read that, I'm going to ask you again.
And this was taken after the
see whether
incident.
that helps refresh your recollection.
So snarky.
Yes, sir. Like I said, I was not aware that it was an attempted suicide until after this incident occurred. I was aware that she was hospitalized.
Well, that's not what you said then.
That's exactly what I said.
Yeah, I can't remember exactly who mentioned that it was an attempted suicide.
After the incident. Yes, sir.
No, that's not what you said. I was not aware that it was that extent. That's what you said under oath back in October 26, 2022.
That was after the incident.
I did say that, and I was not aware that it was an attempted suicide until after this incident. I was aware that she was hospitalized.
And you knew that she was in the hospital for depression, didn't you?
Move on, sir.
Collin told me his words were mental issues. So
now, Bree called you immediately after the shooting, didn't you?
yes, sir.
And you found out from Collin about the basis of the argument, turn off the Wi-Fi, and apparently went over to the next morning.
So turning off the Wi-Fi is not a reason to put somebody's laptop in the dishwasher. Okay. Like and the fact that he said he thought Bree was just being a 12-year-old when she was like, come and get your daughter. He's like, I don't know why. He thought, so that's where I think he was aware that she was emotionally immature.
And in those texts,
Don't turn off my Wi-Fi.
Between you and Collin, you
I'm not
mentioned
gonna
that
put
you
the
had your
phone.
down days and you did your share of wrong in the past as well, didn't you?
Yes, sir.
Just don't do that. Sarah, stop. I'm just kidding. Oh.
And when she called, she told you you needed to come get your daughter.
Yes, sir.
As soon as possible, right?
Yes, sir.
You recall her?
We're going to take a little break. So I covered the Madden case yesterday. If you know nothing about this case, it is a defendant that before opening statements, I want to say, so like the jury is in the room, he confesses, he says that he killed his girlfriend. Like he just starts talking, and he didn't have to. And then after closing statements, he just starts talking to the jury, asking them to look at specific things. He wanted to represent himself. It would have been a mess if he did get to represent himself, because he was a mess. He was a big mess. Check out that other video if you know nothing about what I'm talking about, or ignore it and let's keep going.
Asking you whether Collin was dead.
The second phone call that she called me, she asked me if Collin was dead.
You were never married to her, were you?
No, sir.
And you mentioned there in your text, and I believe you testified today as well, that obviously, Bree, that's a mental health issues that needed to be addressed or should be addressed, right?
I would agree with that. Yes, sir.
I think it was a little worse. He was like menacing.
You knew that Bree took medications for ADHD, didn't you?
So? Sorry.
Yes, sir. That was even back in our relationship. I believe she was taking Vyvanse for ADHD, but I don't know if she was still currently at the time of the incident.
And you, in the text between you and Collin, I mean, one of the last questions that the prosecution posed to you was, and your answer was, she had nothing but good things to say about him. But then there in your text with Collin, you said Bree had told you stories about him and you thought he sucked. So that's not
what Collin
exactly the
said.
same. Which one was it?
You're incorrect. He said that he thought I sucked. That's coming from Collin, not from me.
Oh, like you could a little. Wait a minute.
Did you ever have any communications with her after that second phone call?
We talked via jail calls after she was incarcerated. Yes, sir.
Thank you, sir.
Yes, sir. Thank you.
Did he redirect?
No, sir.
The defense did nothing. The defense did absolutely nothing with that person. They ended up having to end court early, I want to say that day. Yes, I believe they had to end court early that day because of the storm. If anybody's been impacted by the recent hurricane, hearts, thoughts, all those good things. Hope everybody's safe. Our area really didn't get that much rain at all. I have some friends that are in the parts of Florida that got hit pretty bad, and they're all okay, which is good. All right, so this is the verdict. Okay, so we're gonna skip ahead to the verdict. Okay, I think there's no sound right now. They haven't turned it on. She's just chatting it up. That's fine, I guess. Oh, they couldn't find her lawyer. I want to say this. So the jury asked 3 questions. They asked, what's the legal definition of depraved mind? And that would be for second-degree murder. So the jury had to decide, was it first degree, second degree, or manslaughter? That's what the jury had to decide. The jury asked, was there a toxicology of Bree done? Which was a really good question, because I don't think there was one done. They didn't do like blood alcohol or take blood to do a toxicology. They should. If somebody unalives somebody, let's get the toxicology. All right. Same with Sarah Boone. Let's go ahead and get the toxicology if something like that happens. But maybe that would get thrown out. I'm not a lawyer. I have thoughts. And then there was an interview from Pennsylvania, and the jury wanted to know where the video was. And the defense and the prosecution, neither one of them entered that into evidence, but the jury couldn't know that. So it was just, for all of these questions, it was just read your jury instructions. You have everything you need. Base your decision based on what you have. And so the jury deliberated for about 4 hours, and let's go. Oh, yeah. I hope they reopen her case. I don't know if he did anything, but like I'm super suspicious. So many allegations out there. I'll have to do an updated Diddy video. I did an old one, related to the lawsuit with Cassie. Yeah, I'll have to see. Gonna fast forward. So they were waiting on her lawyer for the questions, I want to say, and her lawyer, I think, was at a bar. Like, I think it caught up that he was at a bar.
Okay, looks like we just.
I hope we have everybody that we need.
Oh, you just got off the phone with Mr. Barnes? Okay.
We're still waiting on Mr. Barnes. Mr. Barnes needs to get in the courtroom. So we were always waiting
So
on
let's
this. Okay.
bring the jury in.
Okay, Mr. Barnes is there. The mic picked it up. I don't know if he knows the mic picked it up, but
Let me
the mic picked it up.
let me just say this before the jury comes in. For the people that are in the audience, I'm going to ask that you show no emotion, regardless of what the verdict is. If you don't think you can control your emotions, I'm going to ask you to step outside, and then somebody can go outside and tell you the verdict. Also, if you do not heed to these instructions, then you could be held in contempt and face up to 6 months in the county jail. So if you do not believe you can control your emotions, then I'm going to go ahead and ask you to leave the courtroom at this time. I'm going to give them an instruction on that. Okay. Okay, let's bring the jury in.
Correct. Bar does not mean drinking. Correct. Because sometimes they have decent food. I wonder if they were, I don't know if they were public defenders. She had 2 attorneys. Fast forward.
Okay, if you'll hand the verdict form to court security.
We are doing verdict and sentencing right now. Impact statements and then sentencing.
Madam Clerk, if you will publish the verdict.
State of Florida versus Bree Kuhn, case number 21 CF 1301. Verdict. We, the jury, finds as follows as to the offense charged in the indictment. Guilty of first-degree premeditated murder as charged. So say we all, this 27th day of September 2024.
Guilty.
Juror number 109, AD, foreperson.
Do any of the attorneys wish the jurors to be polled?
Nothing to say, Judge.
Yes, you're up. All right, Madam Clerk, if you'll poll the jurors, please.
They're all going to say it was their verdict, so I'm going to skip through it.
17, the whole. The verdict.
It was all their verdict.
Was the verdict 6, the whole.
I wish to thank you for your time and special privilege of the jury. We have recognized for hundreds of years that a jury's deliberations, discussions, and
I'm gonna
votes
skip it.
if you live in the your time interrupted.
We are proceeding with impact statements.
All right, is the state ready to proceed with sentencing?
Yes, sir.
Is the defense ready?
Yes.
All right, Mr. Alderman.
First degree. Guilty, first degree murder. I didn't hear the gun enhancement.
Court security, if you could move the lectern back, or were you going to have them go
Probably
all the way to the
ADHD
stand?
and depression, I would think, or maybe just depression. I'm not sure. It didn't come in. There were pill bottles. There were pill bottles that were shown on the body cam. I did not pause it to try to see what pills there were. The exact medications might have come in It's been a long week. So this trial was 4 days. 4 days. Yeah, my heart breaks for the kids. And so that's what I want to talk about next.
All right, Mr. Alderman, you may proceed.
Ma'am, would you please state your name for the record?
Teray Turner.
So this is Collin's mom. Prepare yourself, okay? This is Collin's mom.
And how are you related to Collin?
He's my son.
And you had prepared a statement that you wish to read to the judge, is that correct?
Yes,
Okay, go ahead, ma'am.
Your Honor. This is a letter I never imagined having to write. When I think of the impact the loss of Collin has made on my life, it is difficult to put into words. The grief can wash over at any time. Of course, there are the expected times of grief, such as Mother's Day, his birthday, or the anniversary of his death. There are also unexpected times, like a mother-son dance at a wedding, or when asked how many children I have. There is still a sense of unreality. I can't believe this has happened. I've watched my husband suffer as he misses his son. He is so proud to tell people that Collin was in his last semester of school for his degree in electrical engineering, following in Don's footsteps, and had been accepted into Johns Hopkins for his master's. Collin earned this degree online while being a stay-at-home dad following his retirement from the Marines. Our daughters have had the shock of unexpectedly losing their brother, and as a mother, their pain is my pain. But the greatest impact has been watching how this loss has impacted Collin's younger children, John, JP, and Lainey. We have custody of them and expect to raise them for the rest of our lives. It's been 3 years, and they're still fearful that we will die and leave them once again without parents. They worry that if we bicker, one of us may kill the other. They still ask if we have guns in the house, though they know the answer is no. No matter how many times we remind them that killing a loved one is very rare, their reality tells them differently.
Their reality tells them differently. That part hit different. That part, because no kid should have to go through this. And so that's why I talk about this. That's why I talk about breaking generational trauma, because the pain Bree passed on to her children is unimaginable. And I mentioned this in the live where we talked about the case from yesterday, um, where because the daughter, and I didn't have time to play her impact statement yesterday. I have heard that it is very powerful and just very painful. Toby Madden, that case where he killed his daughter's mother, and he's her father, and she has to live with that for the rest of her life, and just the pain, because when it's a random act of violence, it's still hard. And the random stuff, the thing that can kind of come with that is that the world isn't safe. When it happens in your home, it makes it feel like home isn't safe. And in order for brains to learn and thrive, you have to have felt safety. And so I do hope that, knowing that this has come to a conclusion, because they're going to mention that they are still afraid that she will harm them, because they have her children. And so they are afraid that Bree one day would come and harm them. And so my heart goes out to the kids. This is home should be safe, and if it's not safe, I want to make sure that kids can be safe. And that's why I mentioned when the police were being called and all of that, there are videos where the kids are just like playing, and like it just seems like it's a Tuesday. And um it's just it's so painful.
We talk about their dad often, but they'll never really know him as they were so young when he was killed,
Oh,
only 3 and 4 years old.
They might not have those memories.
And now, not only has not only has Bree Kuhn killed our son, brother, father, but she's done her best to destroy his reputation. I know Collin was not a perfect man. There is no such thing, but he was not the evil man she described. He was a man who loved his wife and tried his hardest to make things work. He loved his children, retiring from the Marines early so he wouldn't miss any part of their young lives. And now he's not there for them at all due to Bree's actions. We believe Bree would do anything to get her way. She killed our son because he wanted custody of the children, and I believe she would kill again. Our hope is that Bree will receive a life sentence without parole. We plan to adopt JP and Lainey and give them the security to know they don't need to worry about changing families again.
Because her rights couldn't be terminated until this happened. So the same thing happened in some other cases. If the person was charged with a crime, but so like Sarah Boone still has parental rights. She, like those can't be terminated until there has been a resolution with the case.
Our faith has carried us along this journey, and we know the Lord will continue to carry us. He is willing that all should repent and be saved from their sins, including Bree. That is also our hope, that she would be made new in Christ and have eternal life with him. Thank you.
Thank you, ma'am. Any questions? Mr. Edwards?
That was weird. I had never heard a court ask if there were questions for a victim impact statement. Like I had never heard of that. They do this in this court. I don't know why. The victim should never have to answer any questions, in my personal opinion. Not a lawyer. I have thoughts that I share here. Get ready. This is Collin's dad. Y'all. His emotion is going to be strong, okay? So be ready for this one, okay? I think I saw the court reporter wipe away a tear.
Mr. Alderman, you may proceed.
Sir, would you please state your name for the record?
Donald Turner.
And how are you related to Collin?
I'm his dad.
And you had prepared a statement that you wanted to read to the judge, is that correct?
Yes, sir.
Did you also bring some pictures of Collin that you wanted to show?
Yes, sir.
Okay.
Won't be nearly as polished as my wife. Bree has deprived the world of a loving son, brother, father, grandson, friend, and leader. In the first few days after Collin died, and since then, we have been so blessed with all the people that reached out to us and said how Collin had impacted them in such a positive way. Neighbors, Marine friends, people we had never even met. We saw the love that he gave to the world, and the world desperately needs loving leaders like Collin now more than ever before. We call this God's light in the darkness. The darkness has not won. We know how this movie ends. The light wins. Hallelujah. There's the Marine that never dreamed of going to college, who is now about to complete his engineering degree, all because Collin gave him the confidence that he could do it. There's the Marine that would not accept payment for work on Collin and Bree's house because he was honoring Collin. And there's the Marine that told of a time that he overheard a conversation between Collin and me. We were having a very casual conversation, and the Marine said, "Who are you talking to?" And he said, "That's my dad. He's my best friend." 12 Marines traveled from as far as California to attend Collin's memorial. We were blessed with a son for 33 years, and I know many people are not that fortunate. So many stories of people working with Collin and saying he was the best leader they ever knew. He was only 2 classes away from completing his electrical engineering degree. And I'm happy to say that his school granted his degree posthumously, and I will have that hanging on my wall forever. He had already been accepted into a master's degree program in electrical engineering. And oh, the love that he has for those kids. Kylie, Brody, JP, and Lainey are thriving. As the song says, if love is an ocean, they are all drowning. Collin even took on the challenge of homeschooling Bree's daughter, Kylie, during COVID. He always treated Kylie like his own daughter, as we treat her as a granddaughter today. Neighbors of theirs told us they never saw Bree doing anything with the kids, but Collin was often playing with them. Bree's parents told us more than once that Collin was the best thing that ever happened to her and helped with her stability. When we first heard of Collin's death, without hesitation, we knew we had to care for JP and Lainey. I'm happy to say they are thriving. They're doing well academically and in their citizenship. They're surrounded by church, neighbors, friends that love them deeply and will do anything for them. Collin's friends keep in touch with us and offer whatever they can do to help the kids. My prayer for them each night is that they will know God, love God, serve God and his children. I'm confident that Kylie, Brody, JP, and Lainey will make a loving impact on the world. All our family ever tried to do was love on Bree and make her part of our family, but she couldn't accept that for some reason. Bree has never once showed remorse to us, sympathy, empathy, comfort, or consolation. If Bree were to go free at some point, I am concerned for our lives. She's continued to have an adversarial relationship with us, and I believe she would seek out to murder us as well. Her personality is such that she must win at all costs. I have the same fear for Collin's son from another marriage, Brody. Most important part of this whole letter, of one thing I am certain, we serve a God that loves us so much that he gave his son to make a way that we could spend eternity with him and with our loved ones. I am confident that I will spend eternity with Collin. Our prayer is that God would make himself real to Bree and her family, and that she will join our eternal family. I have some pictures, Your Honor.
Bree is not going to say anything. They're going to add the pictures to be part of the victim impact statements.
Yes, as impact statements, yes. Mr. Alderman?
No other witnesses from the state, Judge.
Okay. Mr. Etheridge, Mr. Barnes?
No, we have no evidence to present to the court.
Okay.
Judge,
So they submitted something.
Victim impact statement.
Okay, all right.
She's already read.
We'll make
Sentencing happening now. My streaming twin. True crime lovelies.
Okay. Anything else from either attorney?
No, from the state, Judge.
For the evidence of testimony.
Not even a little bit.
Okay. Having been found guilty of first-degree premeditated murder, the court imposes the following sentence. I'm going to adjudicate her guilty, sentence her to life in prison. There'll be $518 in mandatory court costs, a $210 fine, for a total of $728. She would credit for all time served. That's the judgment and sentence of the court. She has 30 days in which she can appeal. If she cannot afford an attorney, one will be appointed for her. Anything else from any of the attorneys?
She was sentenced to life.
Hey, Judge.
Correct me in the chat. Does that mean she has the possibility for parole? I think she's confused. I don't know. She's about to get fingerprinted. But maybe she knew, because even from right after the incident, she was like, I'm going to jail. I'm a murderer. Like those were her words. Those were 100% her words. Okay, so no parole. Okay. So life without parole. Thank you. She'll get to spend the rest of her life behind bars. And I think she knew. I don't believe that things were as bad as she said. I personally don't. I don't know. they brought in somebody from that used to work with her and talked about all the different resources the military has. If a spouse is being harmed and it's because the active duty person is normally the one that has the most power in the relationship from my experience working with with people, because if there is if their spouse is being harmful to them, that can affect the mission of the military. And so they normally want resources and tools. They normally want to put things in place. So I think they do it again to maybe compare it to the fingerprints they have from I don't know why they do it again, but I've seen multiple cases where they've done fingerprints again. I don't know why. I don't know why. Uh Yes, the military has so many support, so many resources, and in my experience, I thought so. So that's been my experience that the active duty member, they are the one with more power because like the government wants to like make sure that person is okay. I do love the fact that service members that are struggling with their mental health, they can seek treatment. So having a diagnosis of PTSD, ADHD, having those diagnoses once you're in, that does not mean that you can't serve. You can be on antidepressants, and you can be on all these medications and still get deployed to some places. They might limit, like they normally won't be deployed to a remote location that doesn't have access to those things, but if somebody is actively a risk to themselves or others, they have options within the military to make sure that that service member is getting the supports and help that they need. Because I don't even the stat is horrific. The number of veterans that die by suicide, and I think the military knows we have to do a better job supporting service members and their families what during their service and then also after. So that's something I do. I accept TRICARE. They pay me crap, and I won't say within, but like it's almost half of what my top payer pays. But I love the work and I love having an affordable option, and so I I accept it. I accept it. It's fine. I thank you all for being here. If you like this type of content, this is what I do. On Tuesday, we are going to talk about the Monsters Menendez brothers. There are things that came up in that case that I was not aware of. The depths of generational trauma in the Menendez brothers story, it is ridiculous. So that's what we're going to talk about on Tuesday. I did a Veterans Day, Memorial Day. I think it was a Veterans Day message. So I have a message talking about the military. They actually there is an app for PTSD, and it was created PTSD Coach. I think y'all can see. So it's called PTSD Coach. It was anybody can use it. It's a free app. Has the veteran crisis line right there. There are tools, there are things, there are supports on the app. I have some other mental health apps that I like as well, but the military is how we got the diagnosis PTSD, and that's why a lot of our understanding of trauma comes from combat trauma, and developmental trauma and complex trauma is a whole different thing, because a lot of service members come into the military with the ACEs, probably an adverse childhood experiences scale of probably like 5 or higher, possibly like 7, 8, 9. A lot of the clients that I see have have ACEs, adverse childhood experience scale study. They have ACEs of like 7 to 10. I work with a lot of people with complex trauma. They initially called it shell shock, and but looking at uh so I'm highlighting Patricia's comment because I have so much like I have a passion for doing this type of work. I understand the military and how it works. I mentioned earlier, I traveled with my mom, who was a civilian, and then my dad was active duty Air Force, but I wasn't with him. And so it would create some issues because my mom's name is Johnny. So they always thought Johnny was like like a male, and my mom is a girl, and so like it would create problems, and but we got through it, and I saw firsthand how sometimes, you know, the commander's kids got away with stuff, and uh, I'll never forget doing a summer job with Pass and ID over in Germany, and a general's wife had failed the driver's test like multiple times. She had failed the test multiple times, and she was one answer away from passing this time. And one of the active duty members came over and helped her out so that she could pass. If she was not an officer's wife, I do not think she would have got that treatment, but that's a whole other story. So, yes, yes, yes. So my mom has over like 35 years of civil service, some ridiculous number. And then she worked for our church for like, because she left and worked for the church, and then the economic crash happened back in 2009, and then she went back to civil service, and then she retired from civil service from Northern Virginia, which has locality pay. Locality pay is you retire with either low taxes or locality pay. And so, yes. So Tuesday, we're going to talk about the Menendez brothers. I hope y'all have a good rest of your day. Bye. For real,